Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Red Brothers Pod. I'm Victor.
And I'm Alex.
And we are here after we've just watched the most shambolic football game in probably since the last time we played Burnley away.
I think that might have been a war crime by Burnley. I don't think that was legal. I don't know what.
Just
so
before
bad.
we go into the game, I just really wanted to sort of, appreciate the week we've got ahead of us and behind us. So we started off this run with Arsenal, who, don't play the most expansive football.
Yeah.
You could say they play haram ball. And then we played Burnley away, who also play haram ball,
So bad.
and they were even worse. But it's okay because it's Wednesday tomorrow at time of recording, and we're playing Atletico Madrid,
Which is probably even
the
worse
most
than the two of
haram.
them. Yeah.
They're the most notorious haram ball specialists in the world. So
yeah, it's looking like a
and
long
then
week.
it gets better. It's
we play
Everton on
Everton.
Saturday. So yeah, that's a lot of low blocks that we'll be facing.
I think I'm not watching the next games of football, so
Yeah.
I don't get too stressed out because.
Well, I mean, even against non-low blocks, we get stressed out. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, true.
it's like a stressful season up ahead. But yeah, I mean, just going to the Burnley game, I think obviously we sort of said everything that is needed to be said about that game within the first 5 seconds.
End the episode. Thank you
thanks
for watching.
for tuning in, guys. But yeah, I mean, look, there's a couple of positives to take out of the game. I think what I wanted to start with, and probably what we'll spend most of the episode talking about, is Gravenberch. Oh my God, he is just insane.
I seen this video of him and they were like, wow, like who knew that Gravenberch was so good? But
Bro,
then I'm thinking
we've been saying this.
Exactly. I think me and you are his two biggest fans. Like
Literally.
we've known about this guy's ability, his potential since the start of last season. I think is when it properly
Even
showed.
before then, obviously we knew him from Ajax.
Yeah,
We knew the
of
potential
course,
was there, but we didn't know how his role would play out in the team.
Also, how long it's going to take for him to reach that level.
In, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, look, he was fantastic on Sunday. He was our best player on the pitch, in my opinion. And, he's just so great at just all the basics. He does so very well.
Yeah.
And on top of those basics, when he adds the body feints, when he adds the Gravenberch turn, when he does, you see that video of him flicking it over a mate's head.
Mad.
That's what I mean. Like, when you add those sort of little flavours to your game and your all-round game is just constantly consistent, you've got the recipe for one of the best midfielders in the league, and he definitely doesn't get the appreciation he deserves. He was.
I don't see why that is, though.
Neither. I mean, he was Premier League champion last year. He won Young Player of the Year. And yeah, he was in the team of the season, which is literally, the best in his position in the league. So, I don't understand why he doesn't get the appreciation that maybe a Caicedo does, considering Caicedo cost 4 times the amount, and I don't think he's anywhere near 4 times the player. If anything, in my opinion, Gravenberch is better.
Exactly.
But yeah, again, obviously, it's just unreal. Like, we literally said this the other day, like, watching Gravenberch is top 10 most enjoyable experiences ever.
Yeah.
Because technically he's just so good, and, just everything about him, his passing, his dribbling, I think, is his most impressive asset, considering how tall he is and how clunky you'd think he'd be. He turns like Messi.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable.
Exactly. It's incredible, and I just love watching him. When he gets the ball, I don't know how to explain it. I just know that when the ball's coming to him,
we're not losing it.
Exactly. Like he'll
turn and do something.
Exactly. He either turns out, progresses the play, or he doesn't miss the pass. Like, he can play a simple pass. He doesn't make mistakes.
Exactly.
And you're right. He does the basics right.
And then when you add those little extra flavours.
And when a player does the basics right, that means he doesn't make mistakes. He's not clumsy. He's really not clumsy. And then he, on top of that, he just builds onto his game, like you said, with flicks. I saw that back heel.
The one to Kirk is unbelievable. And that's what I mean. Like, he keeps adding more and more to his game to the point where he is becoming a more complete midfielder.
More confident.
And this season, it seems like he's got a bit more license to get forward and progress that play, like you said there. And, it in all honesty, it feels like watching Yaya Toure. From his stature to the way he plays, his dribbling, everything just feels like Yaya Toure. So it's just incredible that at that age he's able to perform to that level so regularly. Because last season he played every game
that's
in
a
the
crazy
league.
comparison, especially at his age, like you said. So getting
but
compared
it's
to a Premier
definitely
League
fair. It's
Yeah,
100% fair
definitely.
because
Yeah.
you can't tell me that if you watch them two guys that you wouldn't think it's the same player. Of course, Toure was a lot more sort of better going forward. You know, he had a season where he got 20 plus goals in the Prem from midfield. So of course, from that aspect, it is a little bit different. But again, Gravenberch plays a completely different role. Toure scored those goals later in his career where he went further up the pitch. There's nothing to say that that can't be Gravenberch
Exactly,
one day.
Because I do feel like coming into Liverpool, he was supposed to be more of we thought he's more of an attacking midfielder.
For me, it was always a box to box. I thought that was what he was, and in theory it is, but he is really good at the destroyer, playing the six, and you know he's so important to the way that we play. You know, the way that we drop him in between the centre backs to make playing out the back easier. Of course, against Burnley that wasn't necessary because we had the freedom of the whole pitch. But you know, in the more difficult games, the fact that he does drop in between those defenders offers passing options, offers movement. You know, he's doing, like we said, obviously doing all the basics right. And again, it's just, I don't know, I just don't understand why he's not rated as one of the best midfielders in the league, because that is what he is. And you know, people want to talk about Rice, people want to talk about Caicedo, that's fair enough, but he is in that same bracket as them. There's not much between them, if anything. And you know, he seems to not get a lot of credit compared to, you know, what another player for another club probably would have if he was putting in these performances. Because again, last season we went through a stretch where Gravenberch was man of the match for about 2-3 months.
Yeah, it was towards the start of the season.
Yeah, the start. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I mean. Obviously, really impressive again, and I just love watching him. But
I mean, knowing that he's so young and there's so much space for him to improve, it's just so exciting.
It's scary, honestly.
It's so exciting.
But what I wanted to touch on as well, and another one of the key performers, I think Van Dijk again was just great. You know, he is, of course, one of the best centre-backs ever, if not the best in the Premier League history. And again, it's another performance where he bails us out when we need to. Of course, he did make a little slip-up right at the start with a pass, but that got neutralised pretty quickly, and then Burnley didn't create any XG throughout the whole game. So, yeah, from that perspective, it was definitely really good defensively. And a fun fact I saw, actually, Van Dijk's average clearances per game was about 4.5 last season. Apparently it's 11 this season. So he is being tasked with a lot more defending to do, I think.
But I think that kind of lies down to the fact that our defence
is completely new,
and also maybe not poor, but it's not to the standard we'd kind of expect it, or maybe to the standard it was last season, for example.
But then again, you know, it might just fall down to a different thing. We might, for example, now invite crosses into the box and let Van Dijk deal with them. Again, I think those statistics are slightly influxed by the Newcastle game, where they were obviously just going long with every ball. And again, you know, most of that does get cleared out by Van Dijk. You know, he really does command his box, and he goes, this is mine, I'm having it, and he gets it 10 times out of 10. So, you know, I think there is a few other aspects that fall under it, but it's interesting to see that he is being more active this season, but yet that level still maintains really, really high, because obviously, you know, what you could expect from an average centre-back is that when they get more to deal with, they make more mistakes, or don't deal with it as well. Whereas obviously even Van Dijk, when he's peppered for 90 minutes, he still comes out of there looking like he's not even played. So it's the foundations of the team here: the Gravenberch, the Van Dijk, the you know, well, I don't even know who else is the foundation, because we've changed so much. Alisson, Konate,
you could say that.
But obviously, you know, I feel like a lot of those problems defensively, if you even want to call it that, do come from the sheer fact that it is a brand new defence. You know, there's a new right back, new left back. You know, we've got a different type of midfielder now in Wirtz to Szoboszlai, where obviously Wirtz is a bit more creative, he plays a bit further forward, he looks to progress more, whereas Szoboszlai was more box to box. So again, that could also be affecting it, the fact the midfield's set up less industrial and more sort of outgoing. So all of these aspects come into play, but again, just from watching the games, at no point was I worried about anything that Burnley were going to do.
Definitely, and that's just kind of how it should be, though. I'm not going to lie, I think that is the standard. If we want to go on to win the league again, I think that's the standard we should be setting ourselves.
But it depends, because obviously, look, for example, in the past we've played Burnley away, and they have a lot better quality players, and then it does get difficult. We've lost there before it happens, but yeah, look, at the end of the day, of course that's how it should be, but we all know that football doesn't go how it should on paper, and that things that happen in the game alter ultimately what happens at the end of it. And something that I did want to touch on again is the red card that wasn't given to Chukwuemeka, the original challenge. He rolls over McAllister's ankle badly, bad. It's so far above his ankle.
I was watching that and I was clenching my teeth, it
hurt my leg.
That looked disgusting,
and that's what I mean. And again, we find ourselves in a situation where, just like Bournemouth, we win the game, but we win it late, and now we're getting scrutinised for doing so. But at the same time,
it could have got killed so much earlier
if those decisions go our way like they should have. And again, it's not nothing where we're coming out going, it's VAR, it's not. But at the end of the day, if the right decision is made at the right time, these games are a lot easier for us. If Senesi's sent off for Bournemouth at 0-0, in the first 15 minutes of the new season, I can't imagine them coming back from that 2-goal deficit. If Chukwuemeka gets that red card and they're 10 men from the 30th minute, again, that alters the whole game plan. We have so much more space to utilise, and I'm sure that a goal or two would have came earlier. So again, it's just annoying to see, but luckily we're that good that even when VAR make mistakes, we can still overcome it and get 3 points. So luckily no one can say we're using it as an excuse, because we're still winning. But again, it's something that doesn't get factored in at all,
and especially after we win these games, because a lot of people don't remember the bad decisions that get made if we win. However, if we lose, it obviously gets complained about more. They're the ones that get accounted for more. So people kind of struggle to come to terms with the fact that we've had so many decisions against us that they don't even know of, because they're not
relevant.
Exactly.
Because we won the game. Exactly. 100%. And again, even against us, when the decision doesn't go for the other team, whether it's even for a free kick, whole of social media blows up. But when McAllister nearly gets his leg snapped into, it's fine.
Casual.
But yeah, just touching on Burnley a little bit. It's just really boring, isn't it?
I mean, it's just, when are we gonna win a game comfortably? I'm actually getting anxiety. I'm developing some kind of stress from this team.
Oh mate, we've just watched 4 90th minute winners in a row. Well, Arsenal wasn't, but
how can a game be so stressful but so boring? It doesn't make sense.
Because of Burnley. There's
doesn't
your
make
answer.
sense.
I mean, it's stressful because we know the importance of getting 3 points, and we know that every point counts at the end of the season, so that's why it's so stressful. But in regards as to why it was so boring, is Burnley. We were camped up in their half for 80% of the game, and they were leaving so little space that there's just nothing we can do. I mean, even if you look at sort of clear-cut opportunities that we had, we actually didn't. The most clear-cut ones was Robertson right after he came on, where he toe pokes it straight at the keeper, and the second one is the Frimpong one in the last minute just before the penalty, where the keeper makes a save down to his left. So it was just really difficult playing against these sort of low block teams, and at least we've got some good experience of it before Atletico.
It would be nice if we had Trent in these sorts of games. I think it would make them a lot easier to manage.
So I think this is obviously something I said to yourself during the game yesterday, Sunday, just before we do get the penalty, is that it really did feel like one of those games where if we did have Trent, he just opens it up, because his ability to cross and pinpoint exactly where that ball lands, and then the striker's anticipating it, it's a recipe for goals against low block sides. But again, it wasn't meant to be. He preferred to sit on the bench at Madrid,
imagine,
so all credit to him.
He is
livid,
absolutely, utterly devastated. He must be. I mean, imagine he sat there, and he must have Fabrizio blocked on Twitter.
But the best thing is, do you not think that when the club was negotiating to re-sign his contract, they would have notified him of all of this? Because something interesting came out about Salah and Van Dijk, is that a massive part of them signing their contracts was Liverpool's transfer plans for the future. Now, this was reported before the end of last season after they had signed their contracts, and it made a lot of sense. So
Well,
Trent
maybe Trent just didn't think we could pull it off.
maybe
That's a big possibility, because I feel like negotiations must have been a bit like, maybe not heated, but obviously things weren't going Liverpool ways. They were making compromises they didn't want to make. Trent was obviously doing things his way, and he probably just didn't have the trust in the club to be able to carry out them promises.
Well, that's on him now, because he's sitting on the bench at Madrid and we're 4 out of 4. So again, it goes to show that the grass isn't always greener, and it's only greener where you water it. And to be honest, if you wanted to do some watering, you could probably learn how to defend, and maybe the grass would be greener. But I'm happy we can say that now. Now he's not a Liverpool player, because fuck me, watching him for years, just getting done at the back post, has really put some trauma in my life. And yeah, luckily we've got Frimpong now, who's just rapid.
All not completely negative, because some of the passes that he I remembered, I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking, what's the best pass I've seen in football? And it must be that one against West Ham. Trent. Do you know what I'm on about?
The diag.
Yeah.
Or was it the one to Salah?
No, I mean, yeah, to Salah, where it's like...
It curves out and comes back into Salah's path.
That was the best pass I've ever seen in my whole life.
No comment. I'm not really a fan of Arnold anymore. But yeah, I mean, let's go back to the game, because I think we've slated him enough now, and you've given him his little props there, so we'll probably leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, I genuinely don't even know what to talk about. Like, the best way to sum up the game is that Burnley put 10 man in the box and the goalkeeper, and we were just trying them from all angles and directions. Again, we had 2 chances, which were saved pretty comfortably. I think the most dangerous thing we did, other than the penalty, was the Szoboszlai shot outside the box, where the keeper parries it over the bar, and other than that, nothing happened.
I've seen some controversy of people saying Frimpong was in the box during time taking the penalty.
I'm sure if he wasn't in the box, the keeper would have pulled it out at the top corner.
First off, if it's such a big problem and it got retaken, Salah would have scored again. Second of,
maybe
Frimpong was he was midway through a jump anyways, so his feet weren't even on the floor. And third of all, that's just bollocks. Like, what does him in being in the box change at all?
So in theory, it should be retaken if there's another player in the box.
He didn't have his feet weren't in the box at any time during the shot. It doesn't
matter, because him being in the box doesn't change that ball flew into the top corner. He didn't distract the keeper. Because the reason why it's that way is because of rebounds. If it rebounds and you're in the box before the penalty's taken, then obviously you've got an unfair disadvantage. But when it gets put into the roof of the net, the top corner, there's no argument. And again, if he was told to retake it, I do trust that he would score it as well. But yeah, I mean, there is literally nothing to talk about. I think it's time for the player ratings.
Yeah, we've never had an episode like this in our life. But
Burnley, I'm so annoyed. Well, I'm so happy we've got Burnley away out of the way, but I've been here many times and it's always the same thing. It's horrible to play there. It's generally one of the grounds that at the start of the season, when I'm looking through the fixtures, no matter if they're newly promoted, just finished 17th, just sacked their manager and sold all their best players, it's always a horrible watch. And yeah, obviously back in the day we had Firmino, who was great at opening these sorts of teams up, but now we don't have that natural player yet, or at least the players that we believe could be that type of player just aren't fully in the groove yet with everyone else. But again, look, this is what Wirtz was brought in for these types of games. And one other thing I wanted to cover before the player ratings actually just slipped in my mind was Wirtz, because on the internet I saw a lot of backlash towards Wirtz after that game, but I thought he was really good.
It's just because these people, we've got to understand, these people don't watch the games.
Yeah, of course. It's just they see no GA
they'll go on
a 6.9 rating and just go, he was a flop.
They'll go on FootMob, look at his rating and it's an orange, and then see no goal and assist and think he's done shit. But there's more to football than that.
Exactly, and it's the little things. And again, how can you not credit him with getting that red card for Chukwuemeka on his second yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
He drives through about 3 or 4 of their players and forces him to foul him to take the ball off him and gets the red card and a free kick in a dangerous position.
This is what's annoying, because everybody slates Salah for not being fun to watch and just getting goal and assist, but then everyone's annoyed at Wirtz for doing the exact opposite.
Because he is great to watch. Like, you know, when he picks the ball up and he's got some space ahead of him that he runs into, it is really fascinating. And, you know, his dribbling, his close control, his touch, all really good.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, those attributes haven't been all good throughout his whole 4 games at Liverpool, but it is just 4 games that he's played. You know, he gets an assist versus Palace in his debut competitively, so that also goes for something. And yeah, I mean, in my opinion, as a Liverpool fan, I have no problem with that so far. Could he have played better against Bournemouth and Newcastle? Yeah. Do we care? No. Would he still be elite? Yeah. Did we win? Yeah. Are we 4 out of 4? Yeah. Settled the debate.
Exactly.
Then. So yeah, going on to the player ratings, starting with Alisson. What do we even give him,
mate? That's the easiest paycheck he's ever got in his life. Like
literally, he could, that same kit that he wore for Burnley away the other day, he could wear for Atletico tomorrow.
Yeah,
like
fully.
Just fine.
He went back home to his wife and just said, "I just did nothing for 90 minutes, and I just bought you a car." So
yeah. So yeah, Alisson, I think just give him a 7. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Szoboszlai at right back again. I think.
I mean, I like it. Yeah,
I really like
give it a 7. Yeah.
I really like Szoboszlai at right back. It kind of works.
Yeah.
But then also I like Frimpong because just the energy that he offers. He's just so quick and so energetic.
Yeah.
He's everywhere. So I really like Frimpong, but it's good to see Szoboszlai in the team again. Konate and Van Dijk. I think Konate gets an 8 for me, and Van Dijk gets an 8.5.
Okay. So I was. To be fair, maybe a 9's a bit optimistic, but I'm kind of scaling it on the fact if we don't give Van Dijk a 9, who are we giving a high rating?
Grav.
Okay, let's give Van Dijk an 8, you're right.
8.5.
Yeah.
Kirkes, 5. Gets hooked 38 minutes in. Horrible dive in the box, and then obviously makes a bit of a rash challenge on the halfway line right after, which in my opinion wasn't a foul, never mind a second booking, and it was the right decision not to send him off. But Slot then subs him off, just says I can't trust him to not make another silly tackle or dive, and Robertson comes on and looked pretty good, to be fair. So yeah, Kirkes gets a 5, unfortunately, bless him, but I'm sure he'll be back to a good level for the next game he plays. So now Gravenberch, obviously we're giving a 9. I think we established that man of the match in my opinion.
Definitely.
Beautiful footballer. Who have we got next? McAllister. He was pretty poor for me. He always is after an international break. It's just routine.
I don't really think he was like exceptionally poor though. Like I don't think he was like really poor.
Not really poor, but 6. Not a 5, but a 6. He just wasn't great. Look, a lot of passes that he misplaced. He just wasn't there with the press at the right times, and you know he did struggle a bit throughout the game. Again, he was just playing in Bolivia in the craziest altitude you've ever seen, where they literally have to have oxygen masks in the dressing room. So in my opinion, he shouldn't have started. But you know he gets through it unscathed. Hopefully his ankle isn't going to be a problem from that challenge, and obviously now that we're past that first game after international break, he'll go back to being 10 out of 10 player every week, so I'm not bothered. Wirtz, in my opinion, 7.5. I think that's pretty fair.
That's fair.
You know, again, does the basics really well, played really well, and a lot of our play went through him, but he doesn't get the GA to get him to that sort of 8.5 range. Salah, I think he gets it's a hard one because the game is bad.
But he scored.
But the game is bad and it is a penalty.
But it's a good penalty.
True. I don't know. For me, 7.5 is.
We always do this. Just like if Salah's had a bad game but he scored, we always just give him an 8.
True. All right, let's give him an 8.
Tradition, man.
Ekatike, I think it was one of his worser performances for us. He probably gets a 6, but it's so hard to do anything against that Burnley team.
I just don't think he's the player for it. Maybe.
Isak, I think, would have been better suited for that
Yeah.
game, just with his sort of natural finishing instincts. But again, this is the beauty in having both of them, that we can pick and choose which game suits which player better.
Yeah.
So this is exactly what building this team is about, to be able to cater to who we're playing. Of course, we didn't have that option because Isak isn't up to fitness yet, but it's a long season ahead, and we'll see those options get used. Now, Gakpo, I think he was pretty average. I think he probably could get a 6 as well.
Let's just give him a 6. Like, these ones with 6s, it's like you can't really give an explanation for. You kind of got to give him a 6 and just like say you didn't really do much.
I mean, moving on to Chiesa, again, all the subs feel like they just get a 6, don't they?
You know what? Let's just
who came on as a sub? So it was Chiesa, Robbo, Bradley. I want to give a special mention to 7 because he really improved us when he came on. Frimpong comes on, wins the penalty, he gets a 7, and Rio, in my opinion, gets a 6.5 because he was better than Gakpo in the short time he was on the pitch. So yeah, that's my rating. Slot 9 because he masterminds that. Again, this is what people don't realise. Slot wins that game for Liverpool by subbing on when we already had loads of attackers on the pitch. He brings on Rio, brings on Frimpong as even a third right winger, because we had Bradley, Frimpong and Salah all in that space at one time. And then obviously Salah moved a little bit more centrally. But yeah, in my opinion, Slot wins that game with his substitutions, just like he did against Newcastle with Rio, just like he did against Bournemouth with Chiesa, and just like we've seen countless times last season. So Slot, love him. Obviously back to well, I say back, we've never left. So yeah, I mean, that feels like we've just about wrapped the episode up.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's
sorry that it's a boring and a short one, guys, but you can blame Burnley for that, and at least you'll get to look forward to seeing us after Atletico. So take care and thank you for tuning in again.
Thank you.